welcome to another episode of Blood, Sweat, and Tears presented by the Fantasyholics Podcast Network. With us, as always, is wide receiver one room, Zach Rom, Castle Black, Brian Bruner, and Mr. Oviedo. I unfortunately didn't get to see much at all of the football this weekend. I saw Thursday night and the Sunday afternoon slate, so I'm going to defer to the experts this weekend. I got an alert of a Jameis Winston flea flicker and a Jameis Winston receiving touchdown, and I'm like, oh man, the NFL is just a better place with Jameis in it. What else did I miss?
Dude, after Jameis caught the pass, what he did to get in the end zone was fucking amazing, man. Just like spin move, stiff arm, keeping his balance. It was amazing. I remember I was looking at the play on Red Zone. It wasn't in the quad box or anything, so you had full focus on it. And I saw the trickery, and I think Winston's wearing number 19 this year. And I was like, is that Hodgins or like one of their like bigger backup receivers? And then it like hit me. I was like, oh my God, that's Jameis. And he's making this fucking magic happen. He gets in the end zone. And of course he did. He's God's gift to watching football, man.
You know your defense is cooked when the quarterback is juking out your defenders. It was such a fun play to watch.
He did him dirty, man. It was awesome. And if you had the balls to start him after the dud week, he was the quarterback, I think 2 on the week this week. So good for you if you hung in there with him.
Yeah, I sat him.
He's like Madden on rookie mode. He'll make spectacular plays, and then when you really don't know the controls well, and you'll throw a hideous interception like, no, I didn't mean to throw it to him. I meant to hit X, not Y. Oh.
Hey, the hideous interceptions this week were Brock Purdy. He took the Jameis Winston interceptions out, and the first half, Purdy he was thrown to the other team more than his own players. It looked horrible, and then he got it together, but. Yeah, Purdy was the one with the terrible interceptions this week.
Worse than J.J. McCarthy?
Well, some of his throws were worse than the J.J. McCarthy self-sack. I will say that.
Oh,
I think this McCarthy concussion might last for a while.
Yeah.
I think he might need to sit down and rest his head for a few weeks. And speaking of that, my ridiculous amount of waiver claims I have to make every Tuesday in all my Superflex Dynasty leagues. It was the let's try to get us some Max Brosmer.
Yeah, that's right.
He's available there, even in the deepest of Dynasty leagues. He's available in probably 80% of my leagues. So I've got a claim in for him just about everywhere, depending on how much fab I have left and like my scenario of how many quarterbacks I already roster. I put in claims for him in most places. So
yeah,
with him, it's like he's on the team with the quarterback whisper. McCarthy seems to be the only motherfucker that Kevin O'Connell wasn't able to turn into like fantasy relevant. So who's to say Brosmer doesn't step in here, have a nice first big game, and they just say, fuck it, let's let him ride out the rest of this basically lost season at this point. And then who knows, if he's that good, he could get Daniel Jones, starting over AR week 1 next year. So not that I think that's the likely outcome, or I couldn't tell you a fucking thing about Max Brosmer, but I'm willing to throw $15 to $40 of fab out there to get that on my Superflex roster, just in case.
If Max Brosmer comes in and has a pulse this weekend, doesn't throw a pick, maybe 175 yards, a passing touchdown, J.J. McCarthy's key card will not work on Monday. They will he'll deny it access. His locker is going to be cleared out. I'm like, funny, I don't have access to team facilities, and that might be all she wrote, unfortunately.
Yeah, who knows? That'll be interesting. And they're Seahawks, so it's not too easy of a defense for them this next week either. So it'll be very interesting to see. Maybe Justin Jefferson will actually score more than 15 points in a game since week, I think it was 6, 7. So yeah, It'll be very interesting to see that situation there. It's a lot of interesting quarterback situations this week. Aaron Rodgers was out. Josh Allen and Lamar gave you duds this last week. Shooter Sanders is now the starter for Cleveland. A lot of interesting things happening quarterback-wise in week 12 and 13. And usually by now things have settled down, but they're picking back up.
Some unheard of prospect out of LSU named Joe Burrow should be starting this week, apparently.
Yeah, in theory, that would be interesting to see, but that's they're playing playing Thursday, so that's
Thanksgiving.
So that's a shorter week, so hopefully he can make it, but
I mean, it seems like he's playing. All reports are that he's playing. Flacco's got zero projection everywhere. Burrow's got projections on every site. They said he was possibly close to playing last week, so I think it's legit. I think we're looking at Joe Burrow this week.
Yeah, that would be nice to see him back. I mean, that was the case last week too. Burrow had projections for a while, so hopefully it's actually the case this week. I got him in a couple leagues, and it was devastating seeing him go down that early.
Yeah, sadly, if you have Joe Burrow, especially in dynasty leagues, you probably aren't a contender. So at this point, which doesn't really mean much. I think going through all my shit, I think I might have him. I think I might have him on one team that's in the playoff hunt, and I've managed to make trades and roster moves that I have two not more capable, but two solid quarterbacks. I think it's like me, Darnold and Daniel Jones or something like that. That I'm a little hesitant to just throw Joe Burrow back in there sight unseen, especially he doesn't have Higgins. That concussion was fucking, other than Tua going into Frankenstein mode, that was as scary of a concussion as you'll ever see. They ruled him out. He was ruled out for the Thanksgiving game early yesterday.
Oh, yeah. So early.
So, yeah, that sucks, man. I have Higgins on quite a few contenders, so it is what it is. But so that's just, again, I bring that up because of talking about the Burrow risk factor. That's he doesn't have one of his two big weapons. First game back in so long.
We'll see. Ravens defense has improved.
Very much.
I buried him a couple weeks ago, and Brian said, hey, they were missing a lot of key players. Healthy again. The Ravens are turning the corner. Their little colorful line on our fantasy worksheet page on the Fantasy Holics, it was green, as green as could be a couple weeks ago. It's starting to – there are some fall colors popping up on the Ravens defense, unfortunately. They're not the slam dunk they were 2 or 3 months ago.
Yeah, they have good players. They're well coached. It was I think, almost 100% injury based that they were getting walked on early in the year. So,
yep. Awesome. Well, we talked a lot about some interesting news that happens. Why don't we jump into our kind of recap of this week, talk about fantasy relevance, especially going into these playoffs, what our expectations, thoughts, kind of how things have looked, and go into a week 13 preview, which is the first week since week 3 with no buys, which is great to see, although we have 2 more buys in week 14. I forget which 2 teams. It's my Patriots and
Patriots, I want to say.
Yeah. That sounds right.
Yeah.
So we still have 2 more buys to get through, but it's nice to see a full week of football coming up this next week. So we got a lot to talk about this week, a lot of games this last week and next week to cover.
Hey, did Christian McCaffrey help you get this far? Week 14, bye. Congratulations.
I was just going to say that even though the 49ers are off week 14, the way that his usage has been going, I'm pretty sure McCaffrey will have somewhere between 20 and 30 touches even on his bye week somehow.
Yeah, and honestly, for McCaffrey owners, him having the bye week right before your playoffs is probably a good thing with how much usage he is having, just to give him that little bit of rest, to give you that jolt in that first week of the playoffs. That should be very, very useful.
And if you have McCaffrey, unless the rest of your team was dog shit, you're probably settled into a playoff spot now, so you're hopefully not needing him to have a huge game to get into the playoffs with how good he's been. But that's a rough one. If you're right on the border and you have to win week 14 and McCaffrey's your best player and you just have to fucking try to win without him, that's hopefully you roster constructed well enough and you made plans ahead of time for your Week 14 roster.
Yeah, hopefully. We start with an upset Thursday night football. Houston at home, though, still beats Buffalo. Buffalo is a team that is beating some good teams and not doing so well, and it's hard to get a good pulse on them. And I mean, Josh Allen didn't look too great. He still passed for over 250 yards, but 2 interceptions. James Cook did what he usually did, but it was a rough game with the Bills, and I couldn't even tell you without looking at a stat sheet who did well in the Texans last week or on Thursday. I have no idea. I know Woody Marks didn't do well, but was it just a team effort? Like that was such a weird game to watch. I did not expect the Bills to lose this. I expected them up a touchdown or two to win.
No, my Thursday night preview, I had the Bill Texans by 1. You should read it. I've been so wrong. I've been so wrong so many times. Not even close.
Yeah, it was rough for Josh Allen. He coming off of a legitimately 50-point game the week before where he, broke fantasy, he got you 10 points.
Yeah.
Ouch.
We made fun of Shakir and said that we collectively had more yards than he did. I benched him. He had 110 yards.
He did. Shakir was the bright spot for the Bills. Well, James Cook, as per usual, had a solid game. Got you, 18-20, I think. Got in the end zone. I did see a fun meme today. It was there's only Swift, or it's not Swift, Jesus Christ. James Cook and Taylor are the only 1,000-yard rushers so far.
Wow. That's crazy to think, especially with how big Jahmyr Gibbs has been doing. But I guess a lot of his has been receiving work.
Passing. He's had a couple dud games too where he didn't really get much at all running. And then the same thing goes for receivers that it's just JSN and Pickens are the only 1,000-yard receivers.
I guess that's about right still, just finishing week 12, but it still seems a little light. Looking at it, Josh Allen, 2 interceptions, 8 sacks for 70 yards. Houston defense was all over him. And usually it's the other way around. Houston can't keep defenders out of their own backfield, and Davis Mills wasn't once. It seems that's crazy to. I mean, Woody Marks had 74 rushing yards, but that was it. Nico Collins had 55 receiving yards. It was a slower game for Houston, but
Christian Kirk.
Yeah, Kirk and Higgins both had, 5 for 54 and 1 and 4 for 38 and 1. That's the passing production for the Texans that game. 3 for 55 for Nico. Schultz did nothing, but the Bills are like the best statistically against tight end. So unfortunately, if you rolled Schultz out, which I had to in a few leagues, he got you basically as close to a fucking goose egg as you can get. Woody Marks 16 for 74. Whatever. He got one catch for -5 yards. It didn't help you much there, but better days ahead for Woody Marks. But it was just not a great game for fantasy. If you started the guys that you should start, Josh Allen, Nico Collins, you weren't happy.
And I'm happy for fantasy purposes to see Jaden Higgins continue to get targets. I had him high in my in my preseason rankings. I had him as my wide receiver 4. Looking back on it, if I was to adjust, he'd probably be 5, but still, he started the season really slow, but now he's had 9 targets the last 3 games. Now the catches aren't quite there. Some might be throwaways, but he's starting to get touchdowns, get a little consistency that I'm excited to see what he can do. And him and Nico fill a very similar role, similar body type, but the Texans are starting to figure out how to use both on the field at once, which I'm excited to see, especially if hopefully Stroud can get out of this concussion back to his rookie year. I would be ecstatic to see what Nico and Jaden can do if they can work that out.
He's the clear 2 there. They've made up their mind there. He's on the field almost every snap. He is a Nico clone physically, but that doesn't mean you can't have both of them out on the field. They'll figure it out. Mm-hmm. He was a very solid college prospect. He got top of the second-round draft capital. just some other names that have gotten picked in the same draft range as him over the last few years. T. Higgins, Michael Pittman, Ladd McConkey. These guys, top of the second round receivers, almost first rounders, a lot of the time work out. So he'll have every opportunity to continue to succeed and get more involved. And with Nico, I don't want to call Nico injury prone. He was injury prone earlier in his career, but he's held up recently. But at the end of the day, Nico is not an Iron Man. So any game that he misses going forward, you could very well see a big 8 for a 130 and 2 stat line from Higgins. So yeah, he's a great add in Dynasty for cheap, and he's a good solid piece to throw on your bench and redraft for your playoff push for sure.
Yeah. If you're looking to get out of playoff contention, if you're out of playoff contention, looking to buy someone on the lower side now, Higgins is a good one to keep an eye out on, especially if a contender has him and you can swap pieces like that. He hasn't exploded just yet, but he's on the cusp. He's looking good enough that if you can toss something, do a trade with a contender, that's something to look at.
Sure.
Next game, Bears-Steelers. Cardiac Caleb is starting to pick up steam in the Bears fan base because they just can't seem to not have a one-score game with less than 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter, where it comes down to the last drive, whether they're going to score, their defense needs to make a stop, and my in-laws' hearts are going to explode soon if the Bears keep this up, but were able to pull it back off. To much of their dismay, it wasn't against Rodgers. They wanted to pummel Rodgers, but he was out and they still managed. But fantasy-wise, Loveland is looking great. Adunze is having a little drop problems, but on the flip side, DK Metcalf still isn't doing anything. The Steelers' rushing attack, Gainwell is looking amazing recently. He's flex-worthy now. But it was a very, very fun game to watch. Very, very back and forth, but very fun game.
I see it now because I just pulled up the box score from the game, but if you told me the Bears were 8-3 right now, I'd look you right in the face and call you a liar. I'd be like, no, they're not 8-3. They're probably like fucking 6-5. I don't know, 6-6 or something. Like, no, they're 8-3.
Yep.
And they are all like last minute. Either, I don't know. I can't say this for sure because I don't know exactly the scenario, but it seems like they all come down to the wire. But it's not the Bears winning at the last second. It's that the other team has a chance to win at the last second, but doesn't. They miss a field goal or the Bears defense gets a turnover or whatever. I don't think any of these close wins were like, oh my God, Caleb threw a dime touchdown to whoever at the buzzer to win. They've all been like they survived to get these wins. But hey, wins are wins. 8-3. Congrats to them. Fantasy-wise, Caleb was solid 239, 3 touchdowns, no picks, which is fucking great. He also ran for 21. Caleb has been worth starting all year as a quarterback one. A little risky, but I mean, you probably don't have a better option. My boy DJ Moore, hey, 2 touchdowns from some benches of mine. I did start him in some leagues, but in smaller, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex leagues, he was on just about all of my benches. Looking up there with his 23 or whatever points, going, hey, remember me? And now I have that little demon on my shoulder, like, hey, you should put him back in your lineups next week. He had 2 touchdowns, and then I'll have fucking 1 catch for 8 yards next week. And so yeah, we continue to ride the roller coaster with the passing game. Rome Odunze, fucking disappointing again. We all like to say, hey, Luther Burden, he looks electric with the ball. He had 3 for 46 or something like that. But do you really want to put fucking Luther Burden in one of your lineups? I don't want to put any of these guys in my lineups. You kind of almost have the way Odunze's value is, you almost like have to put him based on how you drafted. You probably don't have better options, but I kind of don't want to start any of them. Loveland had 4 for 49 and a touchdown, which in tight end terms is awesome. But at the same time, he's been so wildly up and down, and all these pass catchers, we could easily be looking at a fucking 0 catch or 1 catch game for Loveland next week. So I don't really want to start him either. And then with the fucking running backs, DeAndre Swift had been cooking, and he did awful. He had a fumble and basically got bench punished for it, and
Yep.
almost everything went to Monangai. So now it's like, who do you want to start out of those two? I'd rather start Monangai, I guess, but who's not to say they just give Swift the lead role again? They suck for fantasy. There's pieces every week, but I don't want to fucking play that Russian roulette. I'll start Caleb and just you guys could worry about the rest of the pieces, but I'd rather have other options.
It's the good kind of Russian roulette as opposed to, say, which Green Bay Packers wide receiver should you start, as to like, I want to start none of them. Whereas for the Bears, it's like, I feel like I should be starting all of these guys, but you don't know who to start. Which is not a bad thing, but hopefully that means like DJ Moore or someone gets moved in the off season so that it becomes a little more consistent. And just because I was curious, I looked for the Bears. 6 of their wins have been 1-score games that have come down to the last drive.
Yep.
5 of them were the Bears scoring to win the game within the last 2 minutes or as time expired. And only one, which was the Steelers, was the defense stopping them to win it. So it has been Caleb who has been pushing to win those 1-score games, getting them in field goal range or getting them that touchdown, which seems I watch their games every week, and I would not have guessed 5 or 6 of those 1-score games were won by the offense, which is crazy.
I feel like almost every one of them, yes, the Bears did get the final score, but then the opposition had every opportunity in the world to like get a field goal or get a touchdown, and like something like they dropped an easy pass or the field goal kick got shanked. Like they should have lost those games. Like I remember a couple of them where Caleb's on the sideline with the fucking towel over his head because it was just a foregone conclusion that this field goal was going to get made and they were going to fucking lose, and they won. But yeah, I mean, they technically got the last score in most of the games.
Yeah, which is crazy. Crazy.
One more stat to drive it home. They're 8-3. I wouldn't have thought they were 8-3 either. Their point differential, they're in the red. They are a division leader with a minus point differential. There's only 2 division leaders that are in the red. It's the Bucks and the Bears. The Bucks are leading the division 25 points in the red, and the Bears are leading their division 3 points in the red. That's like a first round loss, wild card round loss, automatic. That's what it feels like.
But part of it is they let up 52 points to the Lions in week 2.
And 42-ish to the Bengals. And if not for middle school tackling, they on the Loveland catch, they lost that game too.
Yeah. But hey, for them, Bears fans, enjoy. 8-3 is 8-3, man.
Yeah.
Hey, Aaron Rodgers didn't own you this Sunday.
Nope.
True. And I'll agree with what you said. Caleb's the only one I'm consistently starting on the Bears now, as much as I'd love to do Odunze for the Steelers. I think it's the running backs. I think it's Jalen Warren. I think it's Kenneth Gainwell, depending on the matchup. But I even have a hard time starting DK with his consistency. I think Steelers running backs go for it, especially if it's a deeper starting league. Caleb Williams, the rest, it's tough when you're coming to crunch time. You want those consistent players, and Odunze's been up and down. Loveland's been up and down. DK hasn't done anything.
So, real quick, I was a proponent of avoiding Gainwell if Warren was going to be on the field, and Warren was on the field. And Warren did fine because he ended up getting a touchdown. He had 68 rushing yards. Azer brought this up on CBS, I think, yesterday, the Beyond the Box Score episode. Gainwell had that amazing fake tush push or whatever it was thing where he got all the way. Everybody thought it was a touchdown. They reviewed it. They ruled him elbow out at the 0, and they sent Warren in for that touchdown. If Warren didn't get that touchdown, he has 17 carries for 68 yards and no catches.
Oof.
Whereas Gainwell had 10 for 92 rushing and was a fucking pubic hair from a touchdown there. And then he also had 6 for 30 in the receiving game. I don't have the snap percentage in front of me, but I think Gainwell was on the field more, and that was with both of them healthy. Warren was a little banged up, but he went into the game with no injury designation. I mean, if the coaches have eyeballs like the rest of us do, Gainwell just looks flat out better as of now. I think I want to start Gainwell over Warren if I have both of them, and I do have some teams with both of them.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily want to have both of them in my lineup, but if I had to pull the trigger on one, I'm going with Gainwell. Ride the hot hand. They're both startable. Neither of them should be. They're both of them are in starting consideration. But yeah, man, Gainwell looks fucking good.
Yeah. Outside of last week, week 12 and 10, it's been pretty literally a 50-50 split between Gainwell and Warren. But I think Warren got injured last week at Cincy.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where it's lower. But it's been 50-50 for 2-3 weeks besides that injury. So yeah, that's a very good point.
Yeah, man. So on to your Patriots. Talk to us, man. What did you see this week? What did you like? What you didn't like?
Well, what I liked was I saw Henderson continue to take the majority of the snaps. That was something that I was very worried about, that it would go straight back to Stevenson coming back from injury, that Henderson having 2-3 weeks of some amazing games, really this week 10, 11, some amazing games that Vrabel might not have thought he would, that would have earned him the respect to continue to start. But Henderson was out there for 2/3 of the snaps, 65%, 18 carries, 66 yards. He had some receptions, whereas Stevenson only had 14. That's kind of bigger for me out of any of it, just to see, hey, we put a lot into the second round rookie, and we're actually going to start using him instead of Fumbles McGee. I mean, I get the experience there, but I'm happy that to me is the main takeaway for fantasy from this. I wish it wouldn't have been as close of a game. I know people were saying that, calling it, saying we lost for a little while there because it was a rough start, but thankfully May kind of pulled it through. But for me, again, the main takeaway is we can start relying on Henderson more in fantasy. That the Patriots are going to seem to be sticking with him, especially this next week if you need it up against the Giants. Week 15, I think Buffalo has a little bit weaker of a rush defense. Not as good as it used to. Week 17, you have the Jets that out of the next 5 weeks, you have 3 good matchups. Giants, Bills, Jets, and at Baltimore's 50-50-ish. That again, we talked a few weeks ago about upgrade your Patriots. Now that we can see Henderson having more consistent workload, if you have Henderson, I'm starting him wherever I can right now.
Henderson is green lights rest of the way in terms of fantasy matchups. Even though they're showing Baltimore as a green light, Baltimore's 20th against running back. I wouldn't say that's a green light. It's yellow. It's about to turn red. Step on it.
Yeah.
So takeaway from me from this game, and I had to vet this and see where his finishes have been. Drake May was dominating, and he isn't now. Fantasy-wise. He was QB. Check this out, man. He had a fucking run. Here's weeks 2 through 8. Drake May fantasy finish. QB 3, 7, 8. Had a dud in that weird game at Buffalo where they won, but he just had a bad fantasy game. So QB 3, 7, 8. QB 25 in that game, but then right back to QB 2, 10, 2. So almost all green. Drake May, people talking MVP, people talking fantasy MVP, trade the farm for him in Dynasty. His last 4 consecutive games, QB 16, 11, 12, 12. That's nobody you're cutting. That's nobody you don't want, given his age, given what you've seen from him. I am not saying I'm anti-Drake May at this point, but we're talking he's got a bye week left. We're talking he's playing in fucking New England and the Northeast. He's got the Giants, that's fine, but then he's Buffalo, at Baltimore, at Jets. These are shit weather outdoor games. They've, seemed to have adjusted their offense a little bit more to running the ball and him running less and stuff. So anybody that thought they had Drake May for their title run where they had a locked in, QB 2 to 5 on the week. That probably ain't it. Who knows? Maybe as it gets colder, he starts running more and whatever the case. But I just wanted to bring that up because my guy right up through week 8 or so was like, give me him over damn near everybody in fantasy because he's fucking cooking. And the last 4 weeks, he's barely sniffing QB 12.
And that's another benefit for Henderson is even though away games are at Ravens, at Jets, those are cold weather games. Those are going to benefit Henderson, the running back. So keep an eye out on that. That's a very good point. I didn't realize how much lower he dropped on fantasy the last 4 weeks.
Yep.
And what's the deal with the receiver room? Like Henry and Hooper had 10 catches last week. No other receiver had more than 2. No other wide receiver had more than 2 catches.
This was brought up on the footballers for Jason's start of the week this week being Hunter Henry. In the recorded history of fantasy data, this year's Cincinnati Bengals are the worst in the history of recorded data against the tight end position for fantasy. Not like the worst in the NFL this year or like the worst in the last decade. There has never been an NFL team that has given up more fantasy points to the tight end position through this many weeks than the Cincinnati Bengals. And they called Hunter Henry the start of the week. I listened to it because as me being the guy that says fuck tight end, I have so many shares of Hunter Henry all over the place that last minute this week, I went in and I put Hunter Henry into either my tight end spot or one of my flex spots. And fuck yeah. It was awesome. He was the tight end 1 on the week. He did better than most receivers other than like JSN. And Austin Hooper even had a fucking serviceable game.
Yep.
He hit your lineup in a lot of best ball leagues. So that at least explains the receiver room for this week. They're literally the worst in the history of NFL football in defending against the tight end. So
yeah.
So start Mark Andrews, start Isaiah Likely, and even Charlie Kohler will get a score this week, is what Brian's saying.
Roll out your fucking tight ends against the Bengals, buddy.
Yep. Hey, you brought up the wide receiver core for the Patriots. If we don't go out and get a wide receiver or draft one in the first round of the NFL draft, we're doing Drake May a disservice. He needs. We have a bunch of wide receiver 2s and 3s.
I don't think they use them anyways.
Who knows? The only other thing about the Bengals, Jamar Chase is going to come back. That'll be fine. Don't worry about that. Bengals would have won if Jamar Chase was on the field. Can guarantee you that. And then keep an eye out on Joe Burrow for Thursday night games. So that's 2 days from now. Keep an eye out on him. Joe Burrow has logged 2 full practices, so expect him to start. We mentioned that earlier. I double-checked that. 2 full practices means, Burrow should be on the field, which is at the Ravens. So still a little bit difficult of a matchup, but still, I think obviously depends on what situation you're at. If you really need a quarterback, if you're on the fence. I mean, in Superflex, if you're on the fence, it's hard to think that you have a better quarterback to start than Joe Burrow. But I mean, at this point, if you're on the fence for a playoff spot, are you starting Joe Burrow or Sam Darnold, Joe Burrow or Trevor Lawrence, or Bryce Young? Where does Joe Burrow rank on your? I'm going to start him this week to help me get into the playoffs. What quarterbacks are you starting them over?
I think Bryce Young's the Mason Dixon line there. I'm gonna call it. I'll start Burrow over Bryce Young. If I have Darnold or T-Law, I think I'm leaving them in and just waiting to see what I see from Burrow.
Yeah, I know the point you were trying to make, but Bryce Young gets the Rams. That will be a catastrophe. 10 sacks for the Rams. Lawrence gets the Titans. Forget the Titans. And then Darnold is almost matchup proof because he has JSN a given 8 for 150. So
no, JSN is matchup proof. Darnold had 4 interceptions 2 weeks ago and gave you 6 points.
Yeah.
Stupid.
Okay. Here's an interesting one then. Are you starting Joe Burrow or Kirk Cousins at the Jets?
Oh, I'm definitely starting Burrow.
Think so? Even the Jets defense?
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't. No, let me get Burrow. He has
Okay.
Jamar Chase out there.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. Kirko.
Yeah, it's interesting questions that I'm sure are going to come up, but it's just it's matchup based of how much we're trusting Joe Burrow to come back out after 3 months versus some of these other older quarterbacks that are technically backups but versus weaker defenses. As to again, where's that line?
It's not like his offensive line got any better. There's no way that happened. He's still going to get rushed under duress every second of the game.
Yeah. It was nice to see Chains serviceable after being. I mean, that one game that he played earlier in the season was just rough. He came. What did Turco do? He had 199 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. Finished as QB 14. Shit, Kirko was a high end QB2 in your Superflex leagues this week.
Yeah,
that's awesome for my Drake London shares, and pray he's back. And hey, if you have Kirko and some best ball Superflex, or you need to start him in a pinch in Superflex, good for you, man. He's a good quarterback. He's a little old, a little rusty, but let's see what he does against the Jets. Green light defense. We'll find out. But I'll start Burrow over him. I mean,
fair enough. Before we move on, we have our first question of the night. Again, if you have any questions, start sits, other things, feel free to comment. We'll jump in. If we're gonna bring it up soon, we'll wait, but otherwise we'll jump in. Brenton Strange or Fannin Jr. this next week. We have Fannin Jr. for Cleveland, the 49ers at Cleveland, Wishart or Sanders starting. Or we have, I just saw it, I just had it. The Jaguars are at the Titans. For reference, the Titans are giving up the 7th or 8th least amount of points to tight ends, whereas the 49ers are giving up the 4th most points to tight ends. What are you thinking?
Just had to check on what Fannin did in Sanders' only start. And he was 6 targets, 4 for 40 yards. So in the tight end market, that's certainly not terrible. You're not mad about getting 8 points or 10, 11 in premium leagues. Strange did better. Strange was 5 for 93 off the top of my head, somewhere like that.
Something like that.
He was also playing well before he got hurt. They seem to, I don't know if it's Lawrence or the OC or whatever the case, just the game plan, they seem to really like Strange there. So given, I know the matchup's better for Fannin, but I think I'd be more comfortable rolling Strange out. They seem to want to just lean on the running game, and it seemed like they did a lot of wildcat. How many snaps in that Browns game was it just Judkins back there taking the snap and Sanders was on the sideline? Not even, it just,
yeah,
it's weird. I have to look up Sanders at his snap percentage, but it was one of the rare games where the starting quarterback didn't even have a 100% snap percentage.
Yep.
Which usually is the case unless it's a blowout or they got hurt. So give me Strange. I do like Fannin, long term and even as a streamer, but this week I'll go Strange.
Yeah, I'll go Strange too, especially if Brian Thomas Jr. is still out and still not good at football. David Njoku has vanished. His snap share is under 30% right now. He wasn't targeted last week. It is Fannin Jr.'s show entirely already.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go Fannin Jr. here this next week for 2 reasons. One, just kind of a matchup based. I tend to lean a little towards matchup based for tight ends, and it's a much easier matchup for him. Secondly, while Cam Ward did do well this last week, there is a worry that Jacksonville gets out to a larger lead to start just because the Titans' offense isn't great. And then it's the Travis Etienne show and the Bashan Tootin show. And Strange isn't going to get as many targets if that is the case. So I lean Fannin Jr. in a matchup that I expect to be closer. They'll be throwing more. Fannin Jr. is shown to be kind of a bit of a safety blanket, hopefully, or safety blanket previously. Hopefully that'll continue with Sanders. So I'm going to lean a little that way.
It's close enough, and you
Yeah.
leaning on matchup based stuff is not a bad call. If you would have started a Patriots tight end last week against the Bengals, based on matchup history, you did great. So that is really the position where the matchup stuff stands out a ton. It's very sticky. If a team sucks against tight ends, I think it was 3 or 4 years ago, the Arizona Cardinals may have set the all-time record of being the worst against tight end, and it was amazing. It didn't matter whoever the tight end won for the team playing them, even if it was like a mainly blocking tight end, they had 6 catches and a touchdown against the Cardinals that year. So, yeah, Fannin's a perfectly good call there.
The Cardinals have given that crown to the Bengals.
They sure
I
have.
anoint you the worst.
The Bengals are going to get it tattooed. The 2025 Bengals, RIP. Worst tight matchup, best tight end matchup of all time.
Awesome. Okay. If you have any other start sit questions, anything like that, again, please feel free. Let us know. Go from there. Giants Lions was such a close game going into overtime. You'd think that the Lions at home would have easily taken care of the Giants. And then Jameis Winston came out of nowhere, pulled his, instead of going that, interceptions, he had those 30 touchdown games and just, again, juked Lions defenders catching the ball. And it was a great game plan by the Giants. But fantasy-wise, unfortunately, if you face Jahmyr Gibbs, I'm sorry for your loss this week. Putting up 50-plus points and just absolute terror, multiple touchdowns, over 200 scrimmages, and even Amon-Ra had a decent game too. It was a great game overall for the Lions. It just, for the Lions' sake of winning the game, it came later on in the game in the fourth quarter. Overtime that they couldn't seal it away early, but it was, fantasy wise, it was a great game to watch and great game to have any player from.
It was 1,000 yards of offense.
Yeah. So take away for me here, and it's not really much fantasy related, I guess. Other than Aiden Hutchinson, the Lions don't have a good defense, and that's great for us and what we love in points and games like this, where even a mid Giants offense missing their starting quarterback and missing their star wide receiver can hang with the Lions and force the Lions to air it out and get fucking Jahmyr Gibbs 209,000 yards and 17 touchdowns in a game. And we just love it for that. But hopefully all these Lions games go that way. The Lions game versus my Birds a few weeks ago, that was strictly a freezing cold, sideways wind. Eagles have a good defense. Weird game there. These Lions games that are either in a dome or in warm weather, as long as that other offense is able to put up points, and they don't have to be that good. You can be the fucking backup Jameis Winston Giants. As long as you're putting points on the board, Dan Campbell's going to keep fucking pressing the gas pedal, and it's going to be glorious for our fantasy purposes. So let's just start everything in the Lions games, unless it's going to be against a really tough defense that can slow them down or shit weather.
Yep.
So what you're saying is Lions Cowboys next week is going to be a fantasy bonanza.
Oh my God. How can it be? The Cowboys defense, and we'll fucking get to that game. What a horse shit. But the Cowboys defense, they've gotten better with Quinnen Williams. Quinnen Williams is the least exciting piece for just overall football, and he doesn't really mean much to fantasy football, but having a big, giant, 340-pound run-stuffing, disruptive defensive tackle makes such a difference for defenses, and they have it now, and the Cowboys defense has looked better with him. That being said, start every fucking Lion and Cowboy piece in that game because it should be awesome.
17-13 confirmed.
Yeah, lock it in.
So we had a divisional game. Hopefully it was expected to be closer, but JG McCarthy just decided to tank the entire Vikings offense to them doing absolutely nothing, where oddly enough, Emmanuel Wilson just took over the game for the Packers. Jordan Love is a little concerning. He had the second straight game of under 25 passing attempts, which means that the Packers receivers did close to nothing. It was the third game in fourth and six games, or third straight game in fourth and six games of under 180 passing yards by Jordan Love as well. He's only had 2 passing touchdowns in the last 4 games. Love has not looked good, which has then reflected on his wide receiver core. Granted, depending on how you want to look at it, it could be the wide receivers that are the problem, not Love. It's the opposite I mentioned of the Bears. The Bears, you want to start all their players and you can't, whereas the Packers, you feel like you should be willing to start someone on their offense, but really it's the running backs, and that's about it. I mean, Emmanuel Wilson looked phenomenal, but other than that, like this is wide receiver core that doesn't even have Golden and Reed, and those are guys are going to come back soon. That it's just going to get even more congested. That fantasy wise, we talked about this at the beginning of the season. We didn't want to touch this wide receiver room, and I think that stays pretty consistent nowadays for me.
If you guys had to guess, through 12 weeks, where is Jordan Love in points per game amongst quarterbacks? Remember, 32 start every week, so where is he at?
20 to 22.
Wow, 22 on the fucking nose, Zach. That was impressive. Yeah, so anyway, not what you're looking for. Jordan Love was generally drafted to either be like a low-end starter or a very high-end second quarterback in Superflex, and quarterback 22. And it's been rough. I can tell you, I've got him on some contenders. I have him on one team that I'm still in first place in, but it sure as fuck isn't because of him. It's because I've roster constructed at the other positions very well. Man, his game log, dude, I brought it up last week. He finally gave you one where you weren't like, oh, thank God, Jordan Love, you didn't kill me this week. He had 21 points last week, but here's his last 4 games in 6-point passing touchdown. 10, 7, 21, 7.
Oh.
From your fucking super flex or quarterback position, man. So that's tough.
Yeah.
They are at the Lions next week, and we just got done talking about these Lions games. As long as the other offense can put up points, they should be blowout, not blowout, but barn burner back and forth type shit. But yeah, Jordan Love, man, he's scary. I don't even know I can't really even give you much advice. What are you going to do at this point? Are you trade him? Is anybody looking at 10, 7, and 7 in the last month and going, oh, let me get some Jordan Love? Like, he's not a buy low to me. I'm not on my rebuilders and shit. I'm not like anxious to get out there and send players away to get Jordan Love. He was supposed to be the one option here, like we were talking about with Caleb. I'm safe starting Caleb. I don't want to worry about the mess of figuring out what receiver to start, but Caleb's safe to start. That should be what's going on with the Packers with their jumble of like receiving options and stuff. But no, Josh Jacobs is the only one you want to start, or Emmanuel Wilson in his absence. God bless handcuff running backs. That was wonderful. You just picked him up on waivers and slid him in, and awesome. But yeah, man, Jordan Love, definitely worried. I'm just praying he gets it together a little bit for my playoff runs here, but not expecting a lot.
Will he, though? After his cozy climate-controlled game this week at Ford Field, he gets Chicago in Lambeau. He's at Denver, Mile High, at Soldier Field, outdoors, and home Week 17, Lambeau against Baltimore. So he has 4 outdoor games in the elements in 3 cold weather cities. I don't think it's getting much better.
No.
Big Christian Watson game coming this week, though. I can feel it.
Yeah.
That'd be the one to bet. I had actually a friend ask me, "What do you think of the Packers wide receiver room?" I'm like, I don't want to be starting anyone, but if I am, the only person I want is Christian Watson because he's the only one that has the potential upside.
Yeah.
But I mean,
And maybe
I'll
they'll
just
give him a
look.
guardian cap this week.
Yeah, guardian cap, that'll do it.
I got to get one every week.
Yeah. I mean, just
maybe
looking
Jordan
at Jordan
Love
Love's
needs a guardian
stats. Jordan Love is 16th in pass attempts, 11th in yards, but he doesn't have the touchdowns. He doesn't have the rushing yards. He doesn't have doesn't have a single rushing touchdown. So his rushing upside for fantasy isn't there. And he's middle of the pack passing. He has more sacks this year already than last year. He has 5 fumbles on the season. He doesn't have many interceptions, but he's looking more and more middle of the road quarterback that needs some weapons. Like the last time he was a top 5 quarterback his first year, 2 years ago in 2023. But he didn't even have, I mean, I think that was a big Christian Watson year and whatnot, but it was
He had 5 rushing touchdowns that year.
Oh yeah, that's a part of it too. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm sure that's a chunk of it. So yeah, Love isn't someone for the Packers. I think the only comfortable person I'm starting is the running backs, and that's it.
Yep.
And
they opened the window for Jaden Reed. Jaden Reed will be back maybe this week, maybe not this week, maybe next. So that does help a little bit. But with all the shit weather coming up, and they seem pretty content to win games with their defense and running the ball. Yeah, it's gross. The Vikings, Christ, at this point, you can't. I can't imagine benching Justin Jefferson, but you may have to take a good hard look in the mirror and go, "Ugh, I've got Michael Wilson and I don't know who do you guys got? Fucking Chimere DK? Nah, I can't go that far, but
no.
maybe you've got Michael Wilson and Ted McMillan, and
Chris Olave versus the Dolphins this week.
Or Chris Olave. I will start Chris Olave over Justin Jefferson without any hesitation at this point. But
100%. He gets the volume.
A weird place to be with Justin Jefferson. Jordan Addison. I like Jordan Addison a lot. He's fucking cuttable in redraft leagues. Straight up 100% drop him to pick up, I don't know, who did I put in the waiver article this week? DK. Yeah, give me Chimere DK over Jordan Addison. Give me fucking Darius Slayton over Jordan Addison. Seriously, it's just ridiculous.
On a points per game, where do you think Justin Jefferson in PPR league sits right now? I have it up right here. Where do you think he sits? Points per game.
Honestly, we could Azer stat this. If you took away the McCarthy games and just did the fucking Wentz games, he'd be fine. But everything he did, with points per game without cheating, I'd have to guess he's 33 or something like that.
He's 18.
Oh, okay.
He's still up there. But
those are all the Wentz.
Yeah, those are all the Wentz games. That's it. I mean, you got Waddle ahead of him, Deebo Samuel, Garrett Wilson's ahead of him in points per game. I mean, you're looking at that, but it's those Wentz games. I mean, when you're looking at people under him, I'm probably starting Wan'Dale Robinson over him. Devontae Smith, I'm starting over him. Now, consistency-wise, Rome Odunze or Justin Jefferson? Because Odunze's put up a couple duds recently too.
Jefferson's usually
quarterback.
Safe. Yeah, JJ's usually safe for 4 for 40 or some shit, even with McCarthy.
Yeah.
Man, I'm looking at the Wentz game. So Wentz games were weeks 3, 4, 5, 7, and 8. I wish I could side by side on my phone with the Jefferson weeks, but if you remove those games and you just showed Jefferson weeks 1 and 2 and then 9 to current, I bet he's wide receiver fucking 46 or something like that. Because the Wentz games is the only good games that he had.
Yeah.
Shit, man. But yeah, But to answer your question, Rome or Jefferson, I would start Jefferson if I needed floor and like I was the favorite in the matchup, but I would start Rome over him if I needed like a boom game.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Gross.
Jefferson has a magical playoff schedule coming. Please, Max Brosmer, be better than JJ McCarthy, which is an incredibly low bar. So be better than Carson Wentz off the street. That's all you have to do.
Well, yeah, may all the 73 shares of Max Brosmer I'm going to wake up to tomorrow morning. Hopefully that it works out for me there too.
Yeah. So we're going to Seattle, Tennessee, and Cam Ward finally had a great, not great or amazing, but a pretty good game on the season.
Welcome to the
256
NFL.
yards, passing touchdown, rushing touchdown. He was, I think he was a top 12 quarterback on the week.
Quarterback 4 on the week, my guy.
What?
In 6-point
Wow.
pass TDs with no weird bonuses or anything. He was quarterback 4 on the week. He had 25.9 fantasy points. And it was a down week for quarterbacks.
Yeah.
But yeah, quarterback
But
4.
still.
Just as we were
Welcome to the NFL. Dude, I'm looking at his game log on Sleeper.
just as we wanted to put side by
Already.
side.
He has quarterback 32, 27, 21, 31, 26, 28, 22, 17, 26, 18, 4. So yeah, this was by a mile and a half his best game, but it's great to see. I fucking just let him get out there, feel more comfortable. You got to figure that's somewhat of a confidence boost to him. He ran more than he ever did before. Hopefully that lets him loosen up a little bit and run there. He's got a really long leash. They're not going to draft a quarterback in the offseason.
No.
Hopefully they get him some help on the O-line, help really get him a fucking legit receiver. But, good to see. I mean, this is really just NFL talk. He's still really not even in the conversation of super flexing.
No.
But it is good to see. We want everybody to succeed. We want offense. We want good pieces for fantasy. So hopefully this is the confidence boost he needs, and he can just kind of show us some uphill trajectory going into the offseason and, progress from there.
No, they're already seeing it a little bit, just like we wanted to see the side-by-side of the McCarthy games versus the Wentz games. The second they fired Brian Callahan, Ward's trajectory is already like Price is Right, mountain climber, going
Sure.
up, like way up, like a drastic difference in the last 5 weeks.
Yeah. 2, 3.
You know who's going in the wrong direction? JJ McCarthy. He's almost off completely off the XY axis. He sucks.
Yeah, it's rough. Yeah. That's the only thing that's really even worth talking about with the Titans. I guess Gunnar Helm. Hey, Gunnar Helm. Welcome to the dynasty conversation, Gunnar Helm. Maybe pull him off your taxi. He's done better than Okonkwo recently, at least the last game. But that's so low level. Anyone only caring about redraft doesn't give a shit about either of them.
No.
Kenneth Gainwell, of course, Charbonnet got the touchdown again. Gainwell looks solid.
Walker.
All right, Gainwell. Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker looks solid, but they gave Charbonnet the touchdown. Of course they did.
You still can't trust either running back.
You can't. They do seem to want to lean on Walker a little bit more the last few games. But again, without giving him the touchdown or the goal line work, here we are again. They just Charbonnet next to nothing, but he got the touchdown. It sucks. Just start JSN. Start Darnold at your own risk. He's a good super flex option at least, but nothing really take away from this game that changes how I looked at it going into this game. JSN's fantasy MVP arguably, and here we are.
Now, interesting question. in Dynasty, how many wide receivers you have above JSN right now?
Well, it ain't Justin Jefferson.
Chase?
Yeah, I feel like you can put Chase there, but it's a conversation to be had. Chase or JSN. JSN's younger, if I'm not mistaken. Is there anybody else you even consider in that number one spot if it's not Chase or JSN?
Amon-Ra. Amon-Ra's the only guy I'd consider, and I'm looking at my rankings. I need to update my. I have Najigba at 1, Amon-Ra 2. If Nakua was a little younger and a little less injury prone, but Chase has been hurt a smidge. Jefferson may have quarterback uncertainty for a couple years. JSN and Amon-Ra 1-2 for me in Dynasty.
Where's Amon-Ra at age wise?
I think I still would have. I think I still got Chase JSN too. Amon-Ra is 26 right now.
Yeah, Puka's only 24, by the way.
Chase is 25.
I thought Nakua was like 25 or 26. I thought he was an older prospect.
Puka's 24. I just betted it. And JSN's 23.
Yeah. So I need to double check mine, but I'm pretty sure go like Chase, JSN, probably Amon-Ra, Puka, Justin, something like that, with London just on the out looking in, something like that. It's hard to have someone ahead, but when Chase, JSN has that better consistency, but Chase has that so much more of a boom upside than JSN, even some games this season.
So when we're talking Dynasty, I live in a 6-month window for running backs. I only live in like a 2-year window for receivers. And all these guys we just mentioned, the old ones are 26.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm throwing that out the window. The fact that Puka's 24 and Chase is 25 and Amon-Ra is 26 is irrelevant to me. They're all fire assets for 2 years or more. Without really diving deep into numbers, I would still put Chase at 1. I'll comfortably put JSN at 2 with him there. And then third, I'd be really torn up ranking Puka and Amon-Ra. And I still don't even feel like Jefferson is worth bringing into this category yet. The next guys I'm looking at after Puka and Amon-Ra are like Drake London, and I honestly think Rashee Rice is really like kind of worth bringing into this discussion because the second he stepped back on the field, he is just a magnet for Mahomes passes, and he's young as fuck too. And until we see something from the Vikings, a change or a quarterback, or I don't know, Jefferson's weekly 4 for 40 stat line ain't putting him in this conversation. It has zero to fucking do with the ability and talent and amazingness of Justin Jefferson. That dude is a fucking freak and as good of a receiver as I've ever seen on the field in my lifetime of watching football. But that's how fucked J.J. McCarthy is. That he has somehow managed to erase the golden god of dynasty fantasy football, Justin Jefferson, out of this conversation we're having. My God.
What about, and then Malik Neighbors comes back healthy next year.
There we go. See, I'm looking at points per game. That's why I didn't even see Malik. Malik Neighbors is clearly in this conversation with all these guys we're talking about and above Justin Jefferson. And oh man, it's fucking depressing. Can we move on? Like
we got 2 interesting questions. First one, Bucky Irving next week. Cardinals at Buccaneers. How confident are you starting Bucky Irving next week? Cardinals have given up top 10 points to running backs. Are you waiting a week and seeing what's going on? What do you think?
I would assume that if the Bucs are going to roll him out, it's because he's fully healthy. they're not going to wait this long, this many weeks, and then he's only on a snap, a snap count, or he's not 100% yet. I feel like if he gets the green light and he practices all week and he plays, you can confidently start him because I feel like they will give him a full workload. That being said, they don't do full, huge workloads for any running back. Even the other week when Taylor was smashing, Rachaad White still got a hell of a lot of touches. When Bucky was healthy, Rachaad White still got enough touches. So the X factor here is it's not going to be Baker Mayfield. It's going to be fucking Teddy Bridgewater. And the opposing, who are they playing?
Cardinals.
They're not that the Cardinals have a great defense, but the D coordinator for the Cardinals is going to go, okay, Teddy Bridgewater is the quarterback. He was coaching high school football up until like the middle of this season, I'm pretty sure. I'm not making that up. I think he was legitimately coaching high school football.
Yep.
Let's stack the box against Bucky and Tucker and White, and let's make Teddy Bridgewater beat us. I don't want to start Bucky. I mean, it depends on your options, obviously, but he's not an ideal start for me.
I read some that one reason Bucky Irvin has waited so long to come back is that there was some mental health problems he was getting over, and it wasn't just injury based for the starting back then, that the injuries actually kind of mentally broke him some, and he had to kind of come back. Being away from the facility for so long just didn't do him right. And I think that's a part of it. I think if you're talking about a flex spot, I'm flexing Bucky Irvin this week because I'm expecting him to come back and try and prove and just have that fire, that freshness of I haven't played in so long. I'm able-bodied. I'm ready. Like he probably could have been back 2-3 weeks ago if that was the case. That that there's whether they stack the box or not, I think Bucky Irvin is going to do well. Now, if you're talking about starting in your running back slot this week and you don't, that's a little bit different of a story. But if you have the ability to flex them, I think I'd toss them in there.
It 100% comes down to options, though. Like, who are you starting him over? Like, are you starting him over? I don't know. I'm bad at coming up with stuff on the top of my head, but are you starting him over Tyrone Tracy in the flex, or do you know what I'm saying? But like, is it you start Tyrone Tracy, like, or are you starting him over Tet or whatever? I don't know. It just it's 1,000% like based, but just in general, I'm hesitant to roll him out this week because they're going to stack the box. No, there's no way they're going to just go, all right, let's really drop back into a prevent defense and hope Teddy Bridgewater doesn't beat us. No, they're gonna fucking put all hands on deck to stop the run. So that's a bigger factor than how I feel about like Bucky's talent or like what he's going to do when he comes back.
We talked so much about this. I'm gonna post this question, 2 sentences tops, and we're gonna move on to Kansas City Colts. Pickens or Justin Jefferson in Dynasty? 2 sentences, go.
Give me Pickens because the Cowboys are basically already guaranteeing they're going to give him a long-term contract.
The Vikings because they are basically guaranteed to give Mac Jones $150 million next year. And Mac Jones is a veteran quarterback who will have the Sam Darnold reemergence. And Pickens is a basket case. The Cowboys screw up a lot. And Jefferson looks like a really good dude. And that's a great question. Coin flip. There was a lot more than 2 sentences. Sorry.
You're good. Eileen Jefferson, just because Lamb hasn't looked himself. I think he's injured or something. Like he's dropped an enormous amount of passes. And if that wasn't the case, he'd be getting a lot more volume. It wouldn't be relying on Pickens. I lean Jefferson a little here, but I can't 50-50 coin flip. Yeah. Which is crazy to think right now, but yeah.
All right, how about this first? Since we, as per usual, drug our feet and talked about every one of these matchups too long, let's revert to that thing we're doing where, okay, what's different after this game, and then maybe we can get through the matchups a little bit quicker. So,
Okay.
Colts Chiefs. What's different to me is not only seeing what happened this game, but looking at the schedule. I am semi worried about Taylor, and I'm very worried about Daniel Jones and the pass catching options outside of Tyler Warren.
Completely agree. That was going to be my statement. Is I'm worried about Daniel Jones. I moved him in a couple leagues, looking ahead some. I'm more about fantasy purposes, even in Superflex. Like I'm not feeling comfortable with him in my QB2 slot if I'm competing. Whereas on the flip side, Kareem Hunt is looking amazing for the Chiefs and has a lighter schedule coming up. Not as much in playoffs, but like Dallas next week, Houston, Chargers, like the divisional games he could still go off plenty on. That's Hunt. If you can get Hunt cheap, if your trade deadline still hasn't passed, if you can get Hunt for a early third, maybe even a late second, if you need someone to finish off rounding that roster to go in, Hunt is looking like he's taken over completely for Pacheco, and Pacheco's not doing a thing, even if he's on and off injured still. Like Hunt's on the up, Jones is on the down.
If you're the Kansas City Chiefs and you need to basically win out or close to win out, and you just had this great win over the AFC leading Colts, and Kareem Hunt carried you on his back and gave you 33 touches and 100 plus and a touchdown, and he's just been looking pretty good in general. If they need a first down, they were saying it on the broadcast. So like, here we go, automatic first down from Kareem Hunt again. He just pushes the pile and it gets it done. If you're the Chiefs, how the fuck are you not just riding Hunt the rest of the way, barring injury?
Yep.
What are you gonna put Brashad Smith in there? Oh, they signed Dameon Pierce, the ghost of Dameon Pierce from the Texans. No, it's going to be Kareem Hunt. I just made multiple trades for Kareem Hunt like this week, like after the Sunday game. Let me check what one was. I traded for him in the original Fantasy Holics 1 league. I know I traded with Jo to get him. What was it? It was, I think I gave up a second for him and Aaron Jones, or a second and a fourth for him and Aaron Jones, and it's a heavy contender pushing in for the title. But yeah, get your Kareem Hunt, man. If you could get him in a redraft league too, do it. He's going to dominate the backfield for them. I can't see anything happening otherwise. He looks good. The eye test. He passes the eye test.
Yes.
You're watching a Chiefs game. Yes. They need positive yardage. They need a first down. They need a goal line touchdown. Kareem Hunt's fucking getting it done almost every single time.
Yeah.
It's only 3.5 yards per carry. Calm down. But yeah, Hunt looked good. It's his backfield entirely.
Yep.
It was actually, I traded my beloved Woody Marks to get Aaron Jones and Kareem Hunt for my playoff push.
Oh, wow. That a little pricey for me, but I totally understand that. Just for the sake of that playoff push, I totally get it.
Yep, and Jo wants to rebuild and get younger, so it was just a perfect scenario trade for us. This is a points per carry league too, like 0.25 per carry.
There you go.
The running back warp is way up. I think with the rookie quarterback coming in for the Vikings, and even if they roll out more on McCarthy, Aaron Jones is going to be heavily involved with screens and running the ball. So, yeah, man, Kareem Hunt. I dig it. Get you some Kareem Hunt. Rashee Rice is great. Travis Kelce is the tight end 2 on the year.
Does not feel it.
Did you guys know that? Let me just double check. I don't know if it changed after this week. He had a down game, so maybe he moved to. Let's see.
Is that a slight to tight ends or a benefit to Kelce?
It's a little bit of both, I guess. But let me check out.
Yeah, it depends on your scoring.
Let me look at a non-premium league.
This is a half PPR with half tight end premium, so it's a PPR league. Kelce is 3 tight end 3 points behind Ferguson and 2 points ahead of Tyler Warren. But I mean, those 4 guys with McBride leading are far and away your top 4 tight ends.
Yeah, are you looking at like overall in the season or points per game?
Oh, overall, sorry, not points per game.
Yeah. Oh, so yeah, overall full PPR, no premiums, just a regular PPR league. He's 3 overall, and then when you look at points per game, Kelsey is actually down to 6 overall on points per game after this past week, which was down. But yeah, 3rd overall. I think he was legit tight end 2 before this week. Bowers having a decent game. Kraft is one of the tight ends ahead of him, which at this point, unfortunately, RIP, Kraft doesn't matter anymore for this year. But yeah, a fantastic year for Kelsey. Down year for tight ends, but he still matters.
Yeah.
You may have heard of his wife before. She's kind of famous.
Yeah. Jets Ravens.
All right, same thing. What is different than what you came into this game with? I was starting to worry about Lamar because I have him all over the place, and now I'm very worried about Lamar. He is not running at all. I saw it with my own eyes. I was off on Sunday, got to watch Red Zone and see a lot of the plays. He's not running. He has open lanes to run, and he's choosing not to run. And that's all well and good if he's choosing to throw and get 3 or 4 touchdowns and 250 yards, but he's not doing that either. He's getting you an interception and 150 passing and nothing on the ground, and it's
McCarthy numbers.
Dude, it's McCarthy numbers. It's fucked. Unfortunately, the way that you formed your team, whether it's a yearly redraft league or a dynasty league, you constructed your entire roster around having Lamar locked in as a huge part of your team and as your starting quarterback or one of your 2 starting quarterbacks. And now I'm finding myself like I'm scouring the waivers and saying, Christ, do I want to start Tua over him? Do I want to start Trevor Lawrence over him? Do I want to start Christ, I wish Jacoby Brissett was available in my redraft league where I have Lamar, because I'd happily start Brissett over him at this point.
Yep.
I don't want to call it a knock. I don't want to knock Lamar. I don't think he's bad, or there's clearly something wrong with him. I don't think he's healthy. He was out for multiple games. He ended up staying out a game longer than we all thought when he was injured. And since he came back, he had that 1-4 touchdown game right when he came back, which was cool, but he still didn't run at all. He was saved because he threw 4 touchdowns. And since then, he's been rough.
Yep.
That's my key takeaway. We all knew Henry was going to start heating up this time of year, as he did. The Jets, I don't think we even fucking talk about the Jets, but Lamar's the big story here. What do you guys, any thoughts on Lamar?
If Lamar doesn't perform this week against the Bengals, full red alert. You figure he has 3 touchdowns at least to the tight ends in some form or fashion. If not, I would bench him. I mean, he's been quarterback 29 the last 2 weeks.
Oh, God, you're right. It's horrible.
Yeah. Lamar is interesting. He was a non-participant in practice yesterday because of a toe injury. Full participant today. Lamar has 1 rushing touchdown this year so far. Jaden Daniels, who has played less game, has more rushing yards than him. Jackson Darks, who has played less games, has more rushing yards than him. Even on a rushing yards per game, Marcus Mariota per game has more rushing yards than Lamar Jackson, which is crazy to think. The last 3 games, he has 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions. He has thrown for less than 200 yards the last 3 games. You're right. He doesn't look quite right. Granted, he has some easier matchups coming up, but he's not rushing it. He has 7 carries for 11 yards last game, 4 carries for 5 the game or 10 the game before. He's not rushing it, and it's something's
Not throwing
up
either.
with him.
So I mentioned that his first game back after missing multiple games, he had the 4 touchdown game. He still only had 204 passing yards with those 4 touchdowns and nothing on the ground. So that was good for QB 9 on the week. You drafted him as QB 1 or 2. So that didn't kill you, but it was disappointing. Since then, he was then QB 15, 29, 25. That's fucking terrifying. Again, green lights ahead with the matchups. Cincy, Pittsburgh, which is fantasy friendly to quarterbacks. Cincy again, and the New England, who's also been pretty green light to fantasy quarterbacks. So the matchups are there, but my thoughts on Lamar are this. You have to start him against the Bengals this week. Their defense is so shit. You've got to start him. I'm sure he's hearing all the talk. I'm sure the Baltimore sports talk radio and all the whispers are getting to him. I'd assume he comes out and gives you at least a solid game this week. If he doesn't give you at least QB 7 or better this week, find other options, man, because there's something wrong, whether it's physically or mentally. Lamar is not Lamar until further notice.
Yeah.
If he doesn't play good this week against the Bengals, do you play him round 1 of your playoffs versus the Bengals?
That's a home game versus the Bengals, so that's a little better. I think that might even depend on weather and who else you have. I mean, it's even crazy to think with how they're playing. Ravens, comment just mentioned, Ravens are leading the division. I mean, it's a pretty crappy division right now, but they're leading the division. I mean, at least this week you can't sit Lamar. But again, if he does horrible against the crappy Bengals defense, you really got to consider. Unfortunately, most leagues, your trade deadline is gone after this next week. But if your trade deadline is through this week, the Ravens play Thursday night. If they don't or Thursday night, one of the games, that if they don't do well, you at least have 3 days to look to trade for a quarterback, which is at least beneficial. But on the flip side, if you have Andrews and Henry right now, you're smiling with the matchups coming up. They have looked great, or Andrews will look great against the Bengals at the very least. That's the one benefit for Lamar is if he can't hit a wide open Andrews, then something's wrong. Yeah. But I mean, we've been talking about these matchups with Henry and Andrews that are coming up that are doing really well. Keep an eye out on those. And again, at least send some feelers out for other quarterbacks right now, maybe even a Matthew Stafford or someone like that to potentially replace Lamar on the off chance he doesn't do well this week.
Yeah, it's a good, I don't know what the word litmus test means officially. I have to Google it or put it in Urban Dictionary, but it feels like this is kind of a litmus test with Lamar. I'm not sure if I'm using that right, but either way, see what he does this week. If we see Lamar go back to Lamar this week against a shitty defense, I'm good locking him back in and feeling confident the rest of the way with his positive matchups coming back. If he struggles, if he's not a locked-in QB1 this week, red alert, start doing what you can do. You can't really make trades in redraft leagues at this point, but I'm okay with the guys on waivers. Give me a fucking Marcus Mariota if he doesn't look good against the Bengals.
Yep.
Quick shout out to John Mechie. Good to see him playing well, coming back from ACL tear, cancer. Good to see him getting some spotlight. He's been great the last 2 weeks.
He's my favorite wide receiver waiver ad in redraft this week.
Yeah. Browns, Raiders, Shooter Sanders. Truthers are saying it was a historical game and he has won the starting job the rest of the season. Those of us who aren't blinded by the lights are realizing he's just slightly better than Dylan Gabriel and showed a little more upside. So at least he's getting a little more he's starting this next week. On the flip side, Judkins is looking amazing for fantasy-wise. Judkins start the rest of the year pretty much. I mean, if he keeps getting these touches in the red zone like he did, like he got 2 Wildcat touchdowns, it's Judkins all the way. He's the only one I'm starting on the Browns outside of Fannin. I'm not starting the wide receivers. I'm not starting Sanders. On the flip side, the Raiders, it's hard to say sit Genty, but he's also has some injury concerns now too, that fantasy-wise with the O-line of the Raiders, I don't know if I'm starting Genty for a game or two, especially with coaching change, depending on how things are going to go there. So for me, Fannin, Judkins, keep starting those. The rest, I'm not touching this next week just to see the dust settle.
Agreed. Other side of the ball, you're not benching Brock Bowers, obviously, and Genty is catching more passes, and that's cool. So start Genty. I tend to fucking blast the dude all the time about not being that good as far as points per game and not matching his draft capital, but Genty, with all these pass catches, has climbed up the points per game ladder. So let's take a look. He is up to RB 13 on the year. Again, doesn't match where you drafted him as a late first, early second round pick, but he's making stuff happen. He's up to RB 13 per game, so good for Ashton Genty. I don't like to only rip somebody. If he's doing well, then good on you, Ashton Genty. So not much change, though. My takeaways are, you're starting Judkins, you're starting Genty, you're starting Bowers, and these teams suck, and start the Browns defense because they're really good.
Yeah.
Cardinals, Jags.
We got a comment about that, and then we've been talking a lot, so we'll let you start off this next one, Patrick. But a comment mentioned exactly what we're talking about for Lamar. Person traded for Trevor Lawrence because his playoff schedule is easy outside of a tough Denver game for insurance for Lamar. That's another quarterback redraft dynasty you might be able to get on the cheaper end for some Lamar insurance if you need to, is the Trevor Lawrence. But on the flip side, Patrick, what are your thoughts on these fantasy guys, Jaguars, Cardinals?
That was putting a lot of faith into Trevor Lawrence being good, which he's been, I don't know. They've been running ETN a lot. Brian Thomas Jr. trying to quit. Brenton Strange has been hurt. Parker Washington has been the fantasy whack-a-mole. Like, he's impossible to get the right week to start. I'm just not that optimistic on a Shane Waldron offense. Traded for you still might end up using Lamar on the measuring stick of these Cincinnati games. This Jaguars Cardinals game, it was okay. I saw a little bit of it in the late window. Imagine being the Cardinals and having a viable offense with Jacoby Brissett, Bam Knight, and Michael Wilson. Like, after investing so much in Kyler, you're playing good football with that. Like, I don't even know what to make of that.
Don't discount McBride. He's the tight end one on the year by far and away.
He's the only logical piece of the puzzle. The other three pieces are just jammed together, and they obviously don't fit. They're two pieces from a different puzzle, and they're still working just fine.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but every time I hear Bam Knight, it sounds like some music producer. Like he's the guy that discovered or the Backstreet Boys or something. I don't know. It just Bam Knight, baby. He's a hit maker. Like, I don't know. He matters for fantasy until Benson comes back, though, I guess.
Yeah. For me, Michael Wilson, someone I'm starting to start where I can. Like in my redraft, I'm stuck starting Michael Wilson as my wide receiver too, because my other options are Brian Thomas Jr. So like I got I'm rolling out Odunze and Michael Wilson, but Michael Wilson's looking good. Travis Etienne's looking good. There's almost one person from each position that you can really be starting for each of these teams. Like McBride's a must start. Brissett in Superflex. Lawrence in Superflex is looking good. I mean, even though Lawrence had 3 interceptions, he had 3 touchdowns, 250 yards, even 30 yards rushing. Travis Etienne looked strong. I mean, even you can be starting Bam Knight. He's a little more 50-50, but Travis Etienne is almost a must start now. McBride is, and then Michael Wilson's getting close with for as long as Marvin Harrison Jr. is out. Yeah, thank you.
It's the question with Wilson is he relevant once Harrison's healthy? Because it's been 100% correlated to Harrison being out that he's been a superstar.
He certainly should be. This is Wilson's third year, and it feels like the Cardinals looked down their bench and went, "Oh, hey, are you new here?" Nah, I've been here 3 years. I had 71 targets last year. I have 71 targets this year. Like, he's a good player that it's Kyler Murray's absence, not Marvin's absence.
That could be it. In 4 of his 6 starts, Jacoby Brissett has 44 or more passing attempts. So they are throwing the ball so much. It could be more the Brissett effect than the Marvin Harrison effect.
Sure. But
Kyler Murray to Minnesota.
He could. Wilson has been there. Brissett's been starting longer than just the 2 weeks that Harrison's missed. Wilson didn't do much at all, right? I don't have his game log in front of me, but in these past 2 weeks, we weren't talking about Michael Wilson.
He was in the 8 to 12 point range before these last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I feel like there's almost a need or a push by like ownership and coaching that if Harrison's on the field, we need to like force it to him to, justify our 4th overall pick in him. So I've been using Wilson in multiple leagues where I'm fortunate enough to have him, but I'm certainly worried that he becomes 6 to 8 points per week again as soon as Harrison's back on the field.
Yeah.
And doing rankings and stuff for this game last week, this week, I completely forgot Travis Hunter exists. Like, completely forgot. Like, oh yeah, isn't he coming back soon? Oh no, he might be out for the year. I completely forgot he existed. I was like, wow, is it?
Yeah, he does.
Crazy.
He exists. He does exist. Just doesn't matter for fantasy in any regards until next fall.
Yeah. So I'm going to take a quick nap while you tell us everything we need to know about fantasy for Eagles Cowboys there, Brian.
Oh, man. I'll keep this as brief as possible. It was 2 different halves. The Eagles embarrassed the Cowboys, shut them out, and then they must have eaten some cheesesteaks and pasta and stuff that made them sleepy and groggy at halftime, because then it was a 24 unanswered point beat down by the Cowboys after the fact. I'll keep my personal feelings out of it. Fantasy-wise, it was A.J. Brown had a great game. The Slim Reaper was rock solid. The Slim Reaper actually had more, points per route run. Not points per route run, but just he had more targets. He was more of the focus of the offense than A.J. Brown, even though A.J. Brown had a better game statistically. Saquon continues to struggle. I don't think it's that Saquon isn't as good or even the workload from last year. I'm now starting to believe that the biggest problem for the Eagles is their offensive line being overworked from last year and beat up, and they can't block.
Yeah.
Jalen seems to be running for his life, and Saquon seems to be getting contacted at or behind the line of scrimmage way more than he was last year. And I think that's the real root of all the Eagles' problems. Their defense continues to be good. There's still a sketchy matchup for the players on the other side of the ball. For Dallas, Javonte has slowed down a lot from his hot start. I'm still starting him every week, but he's now in that 10-ish point per game area. You still want to start him, but he's not booming like he did early in the year. Pickens is he's way better than Lamb when it comes to fantasy. This year. All this year. Not just when Lamb was out. Start to the year, all the way through this week. Pickens is the second wide receiver 2 on the season, and Lamb ain't that. Start them both. Jake Ferguson is still a tight end start. Dak is way up there. I think Dak's quarterback 4 on the year for fantasy. There you have it. I don't want to.
Yeah.
I could go for 20 more minutes on how I feel about the Eagles and Cowboys, but fantasy-wise, that's the layout.
Yeah, the only thing I'll add fantasy-wise is I'm definitely worried about Barkley. I mean, his last 6 games, he's only had two games over 14 points. Like he hasn't been doing well scoring you. Nevertheless, even in redraft, you're drafting him as your running back 3 at worst behind Bijan and Gibbs. And he's just not putting up there. Whereas everyone else, the 2 wide receivers in each team's, you're starting, the 2 quarterbacks you're starting, Javonte Williams you're flexing, but Barkley I'm putting in the same spot as kind of what we talked about Justin Jefferson on. I feel like I should be starting him, but there's so many other running backs, and I mean we have such few running back injuries this year. There's so many other running backs I'd rather be starting than him, that he probably doesn't start in my lineup if I have him, because he's had some easy matchups and he hasn't produced. And now he's coming to some middle to tougher matchups over the next few weeks that I don't know if I can trust him come my playoff push. I mean, maybe the championship game because Buffalo has a weak rush defense, but the rest are middle to lower in the pack for how many points they give up. That Barkley's my concern for fantasy out of all these players. Everyone else, I know we talked a ton about AJ Brown weeks and weeks ago about if we trust him. Trust him now, keep him going. Barkley's the person you should be worried about.
Barkley's 15th in points per game at running back. So don't get me wrong, that's a letdown from where you drafted him. But do you know who he's ahead of in points per game? Derrick Henry and Rico Dowdle, who, you're pretty hyped to put Henry and Dowdle in your lineup at this point. Barkley, even with the struggles, is 14.8 points per game. Dowdle is 14.5 points per game, and Henry is also 14.5 points per game. So we're talking decimal points, but he's there with them. I understand the worry. I'm worried too, but you're hard to bench the running back 15 on the year who's healthy and getting almost all the work.
Yeah. Falcons Saints. Really, the only person Saints-wise you should be starting is Olave. Maybe Kamara, but mostly just Olave with the volume he's getting. Whereas Falcons Mooney is starting to actually produce now with Cousins. Has had a good game this last week, maybe a week before, I can't remember. So keep an eye on him for your potential flex. But for me, it's really changed fantasy-wise. In this matchup, it was just a matchup of crap teams.
Yeah, Mooney was okay, but that was also with no London.
Yeah.
So, Mooney's an afterthought probably. I mean, deeper leagues and stuff, but hopefully we get London back. Keep an eye on that. Obviously, if London comes back, you're starting him. It was good to see Cousins. We just discussed it. He was like a serviceable quarterback this week. Looked like he remembered how to play. Assume he'd look better if London is out there going forward. Start Bijan, start Olave. If you somehow have Algier on your waivers, grab him because he's probably the most important handcuff in fantasy. That's about all I got on this game.
Yeah.
Looks like Kamara's going to miss this week, if not more. Devin Neal could have a colossal week. The Dolphins let Chris Rodriguez and Marcus Mariota stomp a mud hole in Madrid a couple weeks ago. Like Brian has a million Max Brosmer bids, I have a million Devin Neal bids.
Sure. Yeah, he was the graphic for the waiver article this week. And also Taysom Hill, who gets a ton of goal line work and like rushing work when Kamara's, even if Kamara's around. Now that Kamara's going to be out, he'll be heavily involved. And you can start him at tight end. You can start potentially the main running back for the Saints in your tight end spot. So yeah, you scoop up your Taysom Hills if you can.
Looking at Bucks Rams, the main concern for me is the Bucks wide receivers. Godwin had a little bit rough of a start. Granted, it was somewhere. How many snaps did he play? He only played 36% of the snaps. But even when you're looking at it, Ibuka didn't do well. Tez Johnson was saved by a touchdown reception, but a lot of it is Mayfield's injury. But with Mayfield's injury, you're dealing with Bridgewater at quarterback, which is a big concern if you're relying on any of the pass catchers for the Buccaneers moving forward. If anything, that could be a good thing for Bucky Irving, but also, as we talked about previously, you just stack the box. Whereas I will say this might seem weird, but I'm a little concerned about Devontae Adams for the Rams. I saw a graphic. All the touchdowns he's had in the last 4, 5, 6 games have come within 5 yards of the end zone.
Yeah.
So he's not getting these deep passes. He's not like these deep catches. He's getting these touchdowns, which is great, but touchdowns aren't necessarily consistent, even if your name is Devontae Adams. So a little concern there. Otherwise, Stafford is great if you're rolling him out, if you can get him cheap in Superflex to help that push.
0 interceptions.
Yeah. He is looking amazing. Underrated person in the MVP conversation. But yeah, really, I'm fading Bucks wide receivers. Maybe Devontae Adams a little, but you're still starting him. Otherwise, even Kyron Williams hasn't looked himself some. I'm questioning starting him in a few leagues, depending if I have the running back depth too.
Fantasy points per game after this week. Where is Matt Stafford amongst quarterbacks? Quarterback what?
Points got to be like 3.
2. Quarterback 2.
I second guess myself.
He's averaging 26 points per game on the dot, only trailing Josh Allen by 1.3 points. He's ahead of Mahomes, ahead of Prescott. He's fucking balling. And it's even more crazy because Matt Stafford runs about as much as I do. Fucking all passing yards and touchdowns and lack of interceptions.
He wasn't even supposed to be able to walk, and he had to have that injection, or they were talking about the injection. I'd written him off. What do I know?
Yeah.
Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams will do that to you.
True. That's impressive. Stafford has -9 rushing yards on the year.
So, again, just like me over Shakir the other week, I have more rushing yards on the season than Matt Stafford.
Yes, you do.
Pretty amazing. But, yeah, the Bucks, especially without Baker, worried about it. The Rams, I agree with you. Kyron hasn't looked – I don't want to say Kyron hasn't looked the same. They've just been mixing Corum in more, and more importantly, they're just throwing more. They're doing so well in the passing game, they don't need Kyron to carry the load or get them multiple touchdowns when they have the goal line wide receiver Devontae Adams.
Yep.
So, yeah, this game, the only thing that really changed for me is just more worry about the Bucks than I kind of feel the same about all the Rams.
Yep.
And Niners, the Monday night game last night.
They should have flexed that. I don't know if they could.
They should have. I don't have much of a takeaway from it. I saw exactly what I expected from the 49ers. I would have liked to see Purdy do a little bit better, but him throwing a couple picks, okay, that might happen to every quarterback from time to time, but they all did what I thought they would. And the Panthers looked like a mid to low, below mid team at a good team's stadium on Monday Night Football on the opposite coast and got beat. You're still starting Rico. You're still starting Tet. You're starting the Niners that you would normally start. Pearsall is I don't want to rely on him. Maybe he becomes something down the line. But do you guys have any?
I'm starting Juwan Jennings over Pearsall right now.
Sure, same.
Other than that, I agree. I mean, you're looking at Dowdle probably flexing. McMillan, you should be starting. Kittle, you should be starting. McCaffrey, of course,
You should be starting them.
You're hoping you don't get him injured. Yeah. I mean, outside of Purdy bounced back after those horrible interceptions, which is great to see. Usually when that happens, the quarterback just kind of craps out. He started horrible, went in at halftime and turned it around. You love seeing that. But fantasy-wise, yeah, it's same old.
Fair enough. And we didn't see anything from the Manders, Dolphins, Chargers, or Broncos because they were off.
But we have some great games coming up this next week. Let's kind of let's give it a good preview, see what games we're looking out for the sake of fantasy-wise, big game potentials, players we're looking at, maybe a must-start or two here or there, but keep an eye out. Again, there are a lot of different games this week. We have 3 games on Thursday, 1 game on Friday. Make sure you're getting your lineup set. Make sure doing your best to not be flexing your Thursday and Friday guys if you can. It's not just 1 week game, it's 4 games. You should be trying to get those into your running back and wide receiver slots just for that flexibility in case of last minute players going out. So keep an eye on that. And of course, enjoy some Thanksgiving football. But yeah, who are some either must starts or players you keep an eye out for on this upcoming week of a full week of football?
Those 4 holiday games, they're going to be so much offense, I hope. Got a nice bittersweet game for Brian. We got DJ Moore against the Eagles. He might be a little tiny bit conflicted. But a lot. Those 4 games are going to be, you're going to be up big or down big, I have a feeling, come Saturday morning. Like your week could be ruined by Saturday morning. I hope not.
Yeah. I mean, great job schedule-wise by the NFL to make those 4 games like the premium spotlight games for the holiday week. Holy shit, dude. Packers, Lions, Chiefs, Cowboys, Bengals, Ravens, Bears, Birds. That is fucking awesome. Like, that is fantasy firepower. Boom, boom, boom. Get out there, set some DraftKings lineups for all of them, and just fucking stuff your face and have some drinks and enjoy the family and friends and fucking football, man. Gotta love that shit. But I feel like we dive so deep on the review that we touch on like all the pertinent topics and how we feel about all the players that by the time we get to the preview, we've kind of already said what needs to be said. But anything standing out, we like to preach looking out for good matchups. So the shitty defenses out there. Who's just the worst of the worst? The Bengals. So we dove so deep on the Lamar struggles, and please, fingers crossed that we see the Ravens come back to life and Lamar come back to life versus these Bengals. That's a shitty defense to target. The looking beyond the holiday slate. I don't know.
The Dolphins are really bad at a lot of things, given the fantasy points against page on the website, which is a tremendous tool. Dolphins are bottom 10 in everything. But it feels like they're worse than they really are, which is really bad.
But they're going against Tyler Shuck and Devin Neal. So are you start your Olave for sure. Olave is a top 12 wide receiver play on the week.
For me, there's a couple running backs to keep an eye out on. I'm going to say 2 running back rooms, and then, 2 running back rooms I'm keeping an eye out on. Steelers with Warren and Gainwell. Buffalo is giving the 3rd most points to running backs. Keep an eye out on that game. Start those running backs. Washington has given up the 4th most points to running backs. Denver coming off by RJ Harvey. Keep an eye out on him. Potentially monster game there against a weak defense coming off a bye. That hopefully get him better integrated in that offense with Jake Dobbins on injury. On the flip side, it's not a great it's a tougher rush defense. Keep an eye out on Walker and Charbonnet against the Vikings. That you got a young quarterback coming in there. You're going into Seattle. There's a chance Seattle gets up on them, and Walker and Charbonnet both have a good game. That there's some great running back matchups here to keep it on, especially later in the week. I mean, that's not even touching Henderson against a weak Giants defense, and even Bijan against the Jets defense, Travis Etienne against the weak Titans defense. Like, it's a great, great week just to see some running backs big.
Yeah, agreed. And no matter where you're at in the world, whether the season wears on, running backs tend to pick it up more later in the season. Teams want to tackle them less, throw in any type of bad weather. Teams want to lean on the run as opposed to the pass. So yeah, it'd be nice to see some big performances. Would love to see Harvey shine and have a monster game in a featured role. I have so much Harvey, even on a few contenders and lots of mid and rebuilding dynasty teams. I have a lot of RJ Harvey, so it would be great to see him pick it up towards the end of the year here.
Yeah.
Got a Sam Darnold revenge game and some bad weather. I think Cleveland, New York, Pittsburgh, all are slated to have rain or some wind. Could be ugly, could be sloppy, but like Brian said, huge ground game for Judkins, Hall, Steelers backs, James Cook, and Henderson. If Gibbs can get 250 yards and 3 scores, Henderson should get half-ish of that. Half-ish.
Yeah, with the Darnold revenge game thing, it's even a little bit deeper because it's like Darnold's going to go back to around the Vikings like a dude that got dumped by some chick for some guy, like she left you for some guy that, he had some money or he looked pretty good at the time or whatever, and then you went keto and started working out and got shredded. And then you show up at her job like 6 months later, like, hey, you left me for that dude, and that guy in the meantime got laid off and got fat, and then you show back up like shredded with a 6-pack. Darnold and JSN are going to walk back in there like, hey, you left me for that guy? The guy, the concussed dude with the 80 yards and 4 picks last week? Like, yeah, that's the type of revenge game we might be looking at for Darnold, man.
Love to see it. Yeah, great matchups. Highly look forward to Thanksgiving. I'll be doing my best to stay awake to watch these games because I expect so much action to be happening.
So much turkey, so much tryptophan, so much football.
Yep.
Love it. All right, boys. Well, unless you got anything else, man, for Fantasy Holics and for my boys, Mr. Oviedo and Wide Receiver One Room, want to wish you happy Turkey Day in advance. Gobble, gobble. Fucking eat it up. Always message us right directly on the Facebook page if you have any questions, start sits, trade advice. You just want to talk about fucking pro wrestling or life in general. Anything.
Thanksgiving menus.
You want to talk about fantasy football, anything, turkey, stuffing, pumpkin pie. Do you love it? Do you hate it? That's up to you. Cool Whip on it, of course. Do you like green bean casserole? Do you hate it? I don't know. Whatever. Life advice. Anything you want. Hit us up at Fantasy Holics. Thanks for tuning in, man. Happy Turkey Day to both you two as well.
You guys as well.
You too.
Have a great evening, everyone.
I'll see y'all next week.